say anything untrue. She comes up here and she acts in that capacity. You can't have it both ways.
You're not here. If you're discussing things you... We'll now call the meeting into order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. First item of business.
Bus Patrol Safety Program question and answer session.
Where is it best for me to begin? Should I join or? Got it. Yeah? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I suppose if it's okay, I'll start with just sort of a little update, and then perhaps we can head into the Q&A. Okay, great. So my name is Brad. I'm here from Bus Patrol. We do automated stop arm enforcement for the school buses. Essentially what that means is we catch folks who pass illegally when the school bus is stopped with its reds flashing and with its stop sign out. The way that we do that is we use AI that's been out there since 2017, knows what an infraction looks like and what it doesn't. And so that system is able to automatically capture up to 8 lanes of traffic, multiple violations simultaneously, and it's able to segment those into evidence packages for law enforcement. We have 2 humans at Bus Patrol that watch every single piece of footage. Only the footage that both of those individuals believe is a legitimate infraction goes over to law enforcement. Law enforcement spends between 30 and 90 seconds watching the footage, and only when they say yes, that's when we print and mail. In Rhode Island, as has been discussed, you also do have to generate an RITT summons. That's something that police have to do with every single infraction they ever issue. And so we're working with RITT to make the programs work and talk together a little bit better. That's something we're in the works in. We hope towards the end of the year, beginning of the new calendar year, we'll have a system that'll be able to automatically populate that information for them and save them some additional time. But that is the only thing at this stage we need from law enforcement, and only when they say yes. We have a team of former law enforcement here in Rhode Island that's hired to print and mail those tickets. We provide you with the printer, with the ink, with the paper, with the envelopes, and with the stamps. So as has been discussed, I want to just quickly update on the legislative update. I think a lot of you have received an email from me just sort of updating you. There was a law proposed in the state legislature that would have mandated this program to be equipped on all, or a stop arm enforcement program to be equipped on all new buses by 2027 and all existing buses by 2032. A couple weeks ago, there was an amendment attached that changed the breakdown of the ticket revenue. So the way that it's always worked in Rhode Island since the initial state law passed, I think, almost 20 years ago now, is it's been 75% to the vendor, 12.5% to the state, 12.5% to the town. I agree wholeheartedly with folks who are saying that that is an uneven breakdown. Unfortunately, that's what we've had to work with. The state has been very strict in that delineation, and so we haven't really been able to deviate from that. The amendment that was attached 2 weeks ago changed that breakdown to 30% to the vendor, 30% to the state, and 40% to the town. And so the program that we currently issue under the 75% revenue would be completely free to the school. We would equip every single one of your school buses with the stop arm enforcement cameras and technology, with on-prem memory, as well as cloud storage of up to about 1 month. It's about 110 hours of footage. In addition to that, we also offer free internal cameras, free external cameras. If you like what you have already, you are welcome to keep yours. You are welcome to install ours side by side to compare, or you're welcome to phase out what you have, and as you refresh your buses, take our system for free. So that is something, that's an expense that you have to equip STA buses with those internal cameras. You would no longer be responsible for that expense. STA has supported this. STA wants us in in East Providence, as well as some of their other districts in Rhode Island. And we are on thousands of STA buses across the country. They are a significant portion of our 40,000 buses across 500 communities that protect 2 million students. Unfortunately, at 30%, I can't do a free system. The school district will be mandated, and this legislation did pass. We expect that the governor will sign it in the next week or so, probably early next week, if not right after the holiday. At 75%, I can equip a full system for you for free. I can install it, I can pay for the equipment, I can maintain it, I can do everything from start to finish, and those service level agreements will be in the contract, airtight, what we owe to you and how quickly. At 30%, I cannot provide free equipment. I cannot provide free installation. Conservatively, for 44 buses in in East Providence, that would be about $220,000, $230,000 out of pocket for the district. Now, of course, you guys are welcome to phase it in, do 10 buses a year until you hit the deadline, some other way that you see fit. Right now, I can do it out of pocket for nothing for you. We'll come out of pocket for that at 30%. I can't do that. There would have to be an exchange where you purchase the cameras, and then we run the back end for the 30% revenue. So the situation we're in right now, and in addition to that, I was also going to equip all of your vans, all of your SPED vans with an internal camera as well for free. Because I do know that the 75 is quite aggressive in favor of the vendor. And so we wanted to make sure that you felt comfortable and like you were receiving a fair end of the deal. In the last week, I've sat down with a number of attorneys, more attorneys than I ever cared to sit down with in a week. And we have come to a determination that we think there's another way that we can handle the finances. Essentially, what Bus Patrol is willing to do is to issue you an additional 15% of the revenue. It does not seem like there's anything in the law that bars us from providing you with additional revenue from the program. So RITT, when someone pays, they don't pay Bus Patrol, which is the only state that happens, they pay RITT. RITT distributes that fund, those funds, 12.5 to the state, 12.5 to you, the town, and then 75% to us. What we're willing to do, and I already have a contract written for it for your review as soon as tomorrow morning, we would issue you an additional $37.50 per ticket. That would bring you up to 27.5% of the revenue, of the overall ticket revenue. While that is 2.5% less than what is proposed in the current legislation that the governor is expected to sign, you would not come out of pocket a dime. I will give you everything that I have promised, from the internal cameras on vans to the internal cameras on school buses, external cameras on school buses, and all of the white glove service that we provide, and all of the printing, mailing, and everything from front to back. So I hope that is a better situation for both of us. Like I said, we've had an intense legal review. We believe that this is well within the law, which we did not originally believe. But if we receive the 75% from RITT, and then we'll make you whole for that. We'll remit you the funds at the end of every month to bring you up to 27.5% of the revenue. At 60%, I can still fund all of your buses and your vans. So I apologize for taking so long, but I know there's been a lot of back and forth. I was excited to be able to bring this additional offer to you. I think it satisfies the mayor's request for a fair financial breakdown, which is more than fair of him to request, considering that law enforcement is involved and there will be some labor there. I think it still allows us to, well, I know that it still allows us to install for free. So I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I will leave you, I think I've left it in the past, but I will leave you all with a business card. So you have my cell phone number. So if you think of anything late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you can call me anytime.
Brad, I just have a question. So right now, the way the state law is that the state's going to get 40%?
The new law.
The new law, 40% to the state?
30, 30, 40.
30 to the cities and towns.
Yes.
And you're stating that, as far as you're concerned, there's no law stating that with the 75% you get now, you can distribute anything back. There's nothing that would hinder that, per se.
We'll write it into the contract that when we receive that 75% from RITT, we'll issue you what amounts to 15% of the overall ticket price, 37.5%.
So we're really looking at 2.5% difference from what the new law would offer the city.
It would be a 2.5% reduction, but because it keeps bus patrol at 60% instead of bringing us down to the 30%, that still leaves me enough, what we call in the business IRR, internal revenue, right? Internal rate of return. It allows me enough where I think I can make my money back in 3 years, right? So at the end of the program, I hope that I've made you happy. I will be on call for you. You will have law enforcement liaisons. You will have community advocates that can table at events and farmers markets and the school functions. We will have you set up with an entire enablement team, myself included, who is available on call to you, both for anything you need regarding video playback, or retention, which you will be able to train your folks to be able to do that as well. But anything else, service related, if you have a camera go down, we'll know before you are, we'll send somebody out, right? I'm gonna remain in touch with you through and through. So my goal is to make you really happy and make sure that you in 3 years want to stay with Bus Patrol. But 60% is sort of the limit where I know I can at least make myself whole, based on what we assume we'll bring in from how many tickets we believe will issue from what we're seeing from our programs in other communities in the state. I believe that 60% will bring me back what I invest. And then hopefully you guys renew, and that's where Bus Patrol ends up making money, would be in that 4th year. So I'm probably being a little overly transparent with you. I don't know if my finance guy would be happy with me sharing all that information, but I want to make sure that you all know what we're coming to the table with. At 30%, there's no way I can make the money back that I would invest. I can do that at 60. So while you're losing the 2.5% that you would have with the new legislation, you're not buying the cameras. I'm giving them to you. So you're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars across your 44 buses.
Through the chair, I'm just curious, what's the ROI then? I mean, I'm just doing my crazy math, and I'm assuming that on your end, at a 30% share, it would be, like 198% in year one.
It depends on how many tickets you're assuming per bus per day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the average, if I look at the average of what was issued in Rhode Island from, what did I do? Shoot, I don't have it in here, but I think it was in 2024 to 2025. Do you happen to know how many tickets were issued?
I know that there was recently an article that came out about our Providence program where 12,000 tickets were issued throughout the school year.
I saw a number of 7, so I based it on 7.
Yeah,
And then
I mean,
average,
that's,
and the first offense is 250, second offense is 500, so you take the average of that.
our conservative estimate is we're probably gonna see, the way we do the finance is, we'll see a little less than half a ticket per bus per day. In all fairness, it's probably going to end up being more than that. I say that hesitantly, because I don't want you all to go and do some calculation, and then you're like, hey, Brad promised us this many thousands of dollars in revenue in the year, and we only got this, right? There are so many factors that go into it. I don't know right now what your police department is going to approve and what they're not. And like I said, we're in 500 communities. I think we're about to go into our 24th or 25th state, right? We're in 3 states in New England, right? There is such a wide variety of approval ratings across the different law enforcement agencies that we work with. Some are really, really aggressive with the ticketing, and we only send them the most legitimate infractions because it's really important for the public opinion of this program that the tickets that go out with integrity, that it doesn't feel like a money grab or a gotcha. So we work really hard to only send law enforcement what we see as legitimate infractions that really are, for the most part, inarguable. If somebody's appealing to you, it's probably some hardship, or it's probably I wasn't driving my car, in which case it's a civil infraction. It's just like a parking ticket. You're still responsible for it. It's transfers of liability. We can talk about that. In any case, it is. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where were we?
Well, I was just asking about, return on investment.
Yeah, return on investment. I have no idea what your police department is going to approve or not. I don't know if they're going to be really aggressive.
I was just doing it based on if we had to purchase the program. Sorry, I was doing my analysis if we had to purchase the program, and I factored in a lot larger number than the number you cited, and then back calculate out everything. And
I think it would take you quite a bit of time to make that money back at 30%.
that was year 1. Year 2, it goes up by like 4 or 5 times. Once you pay that initial cost in year 1.
I think you're assuming a higher number of tickets per bus per day than I would feel comfortable projecting for you. I think what I've offered today is not a difference of 17.5%. It's a difference of 2.5%. So what you have to look at now is how long would that 2.5% take you to make up for the hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket?
My point is, if we purchased it, if we made the investment on year 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that revenue would go to the municipality, not to bus patrol.
If you wait until after the new law is signed and you purchase the system, you're going to make 30% of the ticket revenue. If we sign before the governor signs the bill, you're going to make 27.5%, and you're not going to be out of pocket a dime. I will cover everything. That 2.5% of ticket revenue is going to take you a long time to make up that hundreds of thousands of dollars. And $200-something thousand is quite a conservative estimate.
Do you know how your revenue share, how does that vary from community to community? Do you have a range that you could share with us, or?
Within Rhode Island, it's identical because it's been mandated by state law.
What I can find on the internet, I found from like as low as 45 to as high as 79.8 in Maryland, I think.
I don't know Maryland in particular. I know it's a $250 ticket, and I think the one program that we have is 60/40, so we make 60. I don't know that there are any communities. There's one community I can think of where we make 50/50, and it's a very, very, very old program. It's one of our earliest programs. We no longer offer that split. There's just too much risk involved, especially when you have, law enforcement that, like I said, over the years, you could have a great working relationship with someone, and then someone new comes in and they tend to be more conservative handing out tickets, and that's a big impact. So nationwide, it certainly varies quite a bit, but I can't legally offer you what I offer in Connecticut or Massachusetts or Maryland. I wish I could. My ideal situation, my perfect world, I'm offering you $250 per bus per month plus $65 per ticket paid. That's my ideal situation. Unfortunately, it's just not legal in Rhode Island.
One other thing, how do you know our police department is willing to relinquish control of some of the stuff that has to take place, print tickets, mail in them and all that? What if they do not want to?
Well, so they're not relinquishing anything. They are approving every ticket. They have to approve every ticket. We cannot mail anything that they ask us not to. Further, after that, in a lot of other states, we deal with the payment processing, with the hearings. In Rhode Island, it's all RITT. So we're not handling any of that. Once we print and mail, which we only do when a law enforcement officer says yes, we print and mail, and then it's handled through RITT at that stage.
I'm just saying, because currently we print and mail our own, if they were going to. They haven't done much with it lately, but.
If you guys want to print and mail your own tickets, that's a savings to Bus Patrol. I'm happy to, you guys are welcome to do that.
But that factors into the decision-making on their end.
Right, which is why I'm willing to do it for you. So you tell me what you want to do. Do your law enforcement officers want to print and mail?
No,
Or do
well,
your
that's part of the reason that if they got a higher share, it would cover that expense for them, rather than.
There is no expense for them. There's no expense
There's
for them.
man-hour expenses. We have to figure out staffing, who's going to staff it, who's going to,
Staffing envelope? No, I'm paying
no,
for that.
staffing from the police department, who's going to review the videos, who's going to print the tickets, mail the tickets.
Okay, I'm printing and mailing the tickets unless you ask to, right? That's me. I'm printing and mailing the tickets. The company is printing and mailing tickets. We have former law enforcement agents that we pay to print and mail the tickets. You will never be out of pocket for paper, ink, print, labels, the printer.
That's only if the particular police department wants to do it that way.
If your police department asks if they can print and mail, I would still be happy to provide them with the resources to do that. But yeah, obviously that labor, they'd be adopting that labor willingly. I'm willing to take that off their hands if they want to stuff
Yeah, but
envelopes.
it's for a higher share to
That's
Bus
their
Patrol.
prerogative.
You're not taking it off their hands for nothing. It comes at a cost, a benefit to you, to your organization.
I'm not sure I understand.
If we sign with Bus Patrol, you end up with 60%, correct? The revenue share? Isn't that the take?
That's what I'm offering, yes.
Right. So it comes at a benefit to you
It
guys.
comes out of the 60%, sure.
Right.
Yeah. But that's a significant savings to you don't want to be spending law enforcement labor stuffing envelopes. If they want to, they're welcome to. The current system, yeah, the labor that you will need, the law enforcement labor that you will need is to watch the tape and hit yes or no, which our data shows us takes between 30 and 90 seconds a ticket. And then they have to print the RITT summons, and quite frankly, they would know how long that takes them. I don't. Usually, from Providence to North Providence, they've confided in us that it can be anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes per ticket. It's a sizable. That's a sizable time commitment. I believe if you're going to do it on straight time, that 27.5% is going to more than cover that. That's going to be a revenue generator for the city. And again, if you guys wait, not only are you responsible for those expenses, but you're also going to be out of pocket for the camera because I can't fund it at 30%. So you guys are going to be forced to do this, whether it's with us or another vendor.
So can I ask one other question? Sorry to
course.
keep going. If we didn't do the internals, are you saying that the stop arm camera program itself would come at a cost to this district?
I'm not sure I understand the question, I'm sorry.
So take the internals off the table. And so if we're only looking at stop arm camera
Sure.
on every bus,
Yeah,
are you saying that would come at a cost to the district?
no. No,
So the only
nothing
reason-
I've offered
The only
today.
reason there's an additional cost to the district is because of the internal cameras and the DVRs?
No, I cannot give you free stop arm cameras. That $250,000 estimate is for stop arm cameras only. That would not include internals, that would not include externals, that would not include some of the service that we'll have to do to come out and maintain the cameras when they
you were
break.
saying earlier, if you had said 230 conservatively.
Ish,
But
yeah.
that was just for the stop arm cameras, not
That's
including.
only stop arm cameras.
Okay.
You're not getting
And
any
if it
internals in
was
your
the
vans.
internals as well?
I cannot fund internals at that
No,
price.
how
You're
much
welcome to buy
additional
them.
would it be is what I'm asking.
I'm sorry?
How much additional would it be? Would it be 300,000 now or some number?
I would have to get a quote from the company at that. But that I'm pricing it out at $5,000 per bus, and I know that, they're
5,000
I
per
would
bus
not-
is for the
is about
stop armor or
yes.
the internals?
Only stop arm equipment and installation.
That seems-
And I have to be honest with you, I don't know that I could come in that low. I can try to get as close as I can, but that's why I'm offering you a conservative estimate.
I have quotes at 3,000 per bus right now.
They're not going to do the back-end service. They're going to ask you to print and mail your own tickets. They're going to ask you, and not for nothing, I mean, you're with that company, and that company, which, by the way, you brought me into the last meeting that I was at because you were unhappy with that company. That company issued 24 tickets last year. When you asked me about the 24 tickets, when you told me the data about the 24 tickets, I was shocked. I said, 24 tickets last month? That's awful. You said, no, Brad, that was 24 tickets last year. My jaw was on the floor. You guys have been abandoned by that company.
Well, part of the problem is that the traffic tribunal has to see that the vehicle, the arm was fully extended.
Our stop arm enforcement system comes with a front, a rear, and a side view camera. So every ticket goes out with 3 pictures of the infraction, the car behind, in front of, and on the side of the bus. That also includes a link to the video, which is 3 videos, that rear camera, that front camera, and that side camera, which starts from the moment that the stop arm extends, so you can see how long the car had to stop, how long the yellows were engaged. I believe in Rhode Island, they're supposed to be engaged for about 100 feet before the red lights activate. And so, we can see all of that. We can see if the infraction is legitimate, and if you guys activated your ambers 98 feet before, and the law dictates that you had to activate them 100 feet before, your law enforcement officers will never see that ticket. We'll throw it out for you. That's not something that's being done for you guys right now. Not to mention you guys are getting footage of objects that are not vehicles passing the stop arm because they use LiDAR and radar. And now they're telling you, oh, well now, because Bus Patrol is offering you such a great program, well now we have AI that we're willing to offer you. Right now that's what they're saying, but I challenged you. I said, go to that rep and ask them for one reference at one district where that system is installed. And they've never installed that system in any district in the country. It's not installed anywhere in the world. They're not in Canada, they're not in Mexico, they're not in Europe. They have never installed their AI system on any district ever. You would be the first. So they're trying to sell you that now. They went out and panicked and got what they call AI. We've never seen it. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it does. You guys would be the guinea pigs. And I'll remind you that they were installed on 8 of your 44 buses, and one of them was producing financially poorly, so they came out and they uninstalled one of those cameras. They spent money to send somebody out to uninstall one of your 8 cameras that were equipped. Now, I'd ask you 2 things. Number 1, where are those cameras? What communities are those cameras in? The second thing I would ask you is what communities are being left out? How are they picking and choosing, right? It's a financial decision for them. But on the ground, and I know this because I was an elected official in Hamden, that's how I got into this issue, I know where exactly all of our cameras were. They were in the south end of town that was condensed, didn't look like me. In the north end of town, students were being unprotected because they weren't making enough money on those, right? I was with the same vendor you're with right now. Bus Patrol equips every single bus. I can do it for free. I can equip spares so that when you pull out your buses for maintenance, that you'll continue to have that rotation. So, I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here. Like, if you guys want to protect students, I'm ready and here to do it for free, and I'm going to give you revenue for it.
Through the chair. Yes. So I very much appreciate the financial details that you just went through.
Sure.
However, I look at things differently. I look at kids.
Of course.
So I'm going to ask you, how, since cameras you've put into districts,
Yeah.
how many lives have these cameras saved? Or can you give me an example of how many ticket percentages have gone down?
I can't.
Because that's what I want to know. I
I
want to know
can't-
what we're doing with this.
I can't tell you how many kids haven't been hit.
Yep.
I can tell you in the last 3 months, 2 districts have come to me after saying no to us, one of them 5 years ago, one of them 3 years ago. They called me, one of them last month, one of them 3 months ago, called me because a student was just hit in Oswego County, New York. A 12-year-old girl was just hit and killed in front of their middle school. All of a sudden now they want to talk to us and get their cameras. So I can't tell you how many children have been saved. What I can tell you is that in the first year of the program, so the 12 months into the program, our programs see an average of 40% reduction in illegal passings of the school bus. So you can expect at the end of month 12, somewhere, I would assume, I'd feel confident saying north of 25% or so of a reduction. Our national average is 40% in the first year. You're probably going to see about a 10 to 20% year-over-year reduction in the following 3 to 4 years of the program, where it starts to sort of plateau out. You will always have stop arm infractions. Unfortunately, new drivers, cars are getting more screens, not fewer. So distracted driving we see is a huge, huge factor. And you'll also have folks from out of town, right? A lot of universities in the area, a lot of folks coming and going to the beach, right? Using your roads as drive-through roads, either to Cape Cod or to your beaches here in Rhode Island. So you're always gonna have out-of-state folks, which we can ticket, and we will. You'll have new drivers, you'll have distracted drivers. So you'll always see, we're never gonna completely eliminate the problem. What we can do is drop it an average of 40% in the first year, 10 to 20% every year after that for about 3 years. And what I can tell you is since 2017, of every single person who's ever received a bus patrol ticket, 90% of them have never reoffended after receiving their first ticket. More than 9 out of 10 drivers who have received a bus patrol ticket have never received a second one. They've never passed a school bus again.
Would it be possible for you to reach out to North Providence or Cumberland or somebody who has your cameras to see exactly what percentage goes down based on
Sure.
installing of the cameras?
So North Providence, the program is only a couple months old. We're seeing some really great progress. We're moving forward there at light speed because we learned a lot in Providence. Providence has been live this entire school year. So I'd be happy to show you that graph and where they started at the beginning of the year and where they were at the end of the year. North Providence, I don't think you're probably gonna see much progress until the fall. The reason being is folks who may have passed the school bus in March or so just got their ticket, maybe they paid it, maybe they still have a hearing coming up either this month or next month, right? So I don't think that program has been live enough to see, a significant improvement in just a couple months. Providence has, so I can certainly show you Providence.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Brad, appreciate your time.
Yeah, of
Second
course.
time coming out. I don't think you're from Rhode Island, so I know it's travel. So do appreciate that. A couple of questions. I'll try to streamline them as best as possible. Dr. Ferrand, the contract for whatever company this district decides to work with, who would be having the final review and who would be the final signatures on that contract?
So all previous contracts have required both the school department and the city to sign them.
And so, with that, it's really challenging to have a conversation that feels like a negotiation, although I appreciate what you're coming with today. So a couple other questions. So the legislation, I don't know every letter to that legislation that passed. What effect will that have on the Rhode Island districts that you currently work with in terms of
I can't give them a free program. I was talking to Newport, I was talking to Cranston. They're not gonna be able to get it done in time. I'm not gonna be able to give them a free program.
What about the current, what about North Providence, Warwick? What about?
Yeah, we were able to lobby for an amendment to be put into the bill where any existing contracts are unaffected. So those contracts are either 3+3 or 5+5, and so they're probably good for between 6 and 10 years should the districts choose to renew after that first term.
Okay. I think it's very apparent that student safety for this committee, for this district, for this community is the top priority here. And so, unfortunately, there is no contract on this agenda to vote on this evening. But what would be the lead time for installing cameras, whether it's a free service or whether the city is paying for it?
Couple months. Summer gets really busy for us. A lot of people want to install over the summer. I'm scheduling into, I think, early or mid-August right now. So if we were to do something before the governor signs, I can definitely get you installed and ready to go before the school year starts. If we're going to wait, it's maybe mid-next year because it's going to take time for us to digest and understand what is in the legislation, produce a quote, bring that to you, and then that's going to obviously need not only your approval to choose us as the vendor, but then it's going to need financial approval as well. And I don't know how your procedure works, if that would be a vote of the city council or if it would just come out of your budget or how that would work. But obviously there would need to be a financial vote there as well. What I can tell you is that the existing law dictates that the school committee is the body that is empowered to choose the vendor. So all you guys have to do, you guys do not have to vote on a contract. You have to vote to select a vendor. So if you so choose tonight, I did briefly review your standing rules. I don't believe there's anything that would preclude you from making a motion, a second, and taking a vote. If 3 of you vote, you're empowering your school district to negotiate the contract with us. I'd be really excited to have any of you at that table that want to be at that table for those conversations.
I'm sorry, Brad, so I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So
Sure.
essentially, we don't know what date the governor will be signing. However, if
We
we
don't.
were to go into contract with you up to whatever that date may be,
Yes.
you would say that we would have our cameras in for the beginning of the school year.
Yes.
However, if we waited even a day after he signed and we were ready to offer you, have a contract with you that very next day, we would be pushed out 6 months?
Not necessarily, right? If you guys came to the table with the finances and with the contract by mid-July, I can probably squeeze you in. I don't know that we can do all that work in 2 weeks, which is why I say I don't know. Like that, usually that conversation, just based on my experience, that conversation takes months, not weeks. So it feels to me like if there's also a financial aspect of it, I'd be very surprised if you guys did it in 2 weeks. Certainly by the end of July, I will no longer have any space in the summer. We'll have to install mid-year. And that's something we do all the time. We install nights, we install weekends, whatever doesn't impede on your routes.
Yeah, I feel like I just have a hard time imagining that it's either mid-July or, 6 weeks. If it's a 6 week,
Yeah.
in my mind, it would be like about a 6 week project. And it feels like if it's mid-July, it would be 6 weeks out. But if it's mid-August, then that's October 1. But it just seems like if it's not, if it's not the 60%, then you're telling us that we're not going to have our cameras on it.
No, let me clarify. The financial breakdown does not change how quickly we can install. What changes is the contract negotiation. My team is going to need at least a week or two to come up with a quote for you. I could probably get my team to do that in maybe 3 or 4 days. They're going to have to come up with a quote, a new contract for you. Even if I could get that to you by the end of next week, you guys are then going to have to take that and deliberate on that. It's an expenditure, so not only would it be a discussion around what vendor do we choose, but then you would have to discuss the finances of it. If the district could come to the table with that financial investment before mid-July, maybe even the end of July, I might be able to squeeze you in this summer. I've never seen a town do that fast. I've never seen a town come to the table with hundreds of thousands of dollars in less than a month.
Yeah.
I've just not seen that.
For
So
sure.
that's why I say, like, I would expect, my timeline for installation doesn't change. What I think changes is the deliberation around, do we spend this money or do we wait until the deadline looms in 27 or 32, right? And then, obviously the other conversations that would have to happen as well, contract negotiations, things like that, which I don't think would take very long at all.
Right, yeah, part of my concern really is that our priority, as a school committee is really ensuring the highest standard of safety for our students. The other priority we have is ensuring, financial management for the school district.
Yeah.
And regardless of what the breakdown is,
Yeah.
this school district does not see any money. So whether it's 12.5%, whether it's 27.5%, whether it's 30%, whether it's 70%, we don't see any of it. And so, with that concern, I had a conversation with our mayor. He gave me his word.
Sure.
That he would ensure that we will have cameras on our buses with no cost to this school district, which is extremely important because as we continue in this meeting and we continue through the summer, that's all we're going to be talking about.
Sure.
So as of right now, my biggest priority is ensuring that whatever contract with whatever vendor we're signing, we're able to have instituted by the first day of school. And
Okay.
so I appreciate the context of looking at this July 15, July 20 timeline for,
Yeah.
if we don't get a contract with you before legislation is signed. Because in reality, the governor might not sign this legislation until August 1. I don't know.
So, real quick, Ryan, I was told late this afternoon, have not been able to confirm, but I was told that the governor signed it today. And we're trying to get confirmation of that right now. It was literally right before I got here, so. just
Unfortunately,
don't-
if the governor signed it today, then I'm sorry.
Again,
the decision's already been
trying
made.
to confirm that,
Well, then
but
I have another question.
I believe it was signed today.
That's, it's relevant regardless. When a ticket is distributed, and a person wants to contest it and go to court, is there a representative from Bus Patrol that goes to that hearing? Or does that expense also fall on the city to fund?
Fund what?
Like, would,
If
does it have to be like-
RITT requires that an officer is there, I mean, we have arrangements in other states where we do send people to the court. I don't know exactly what RITT demands. I usually for video evidence, I don't believe that they require a law enforcement officer to be there because the video evidence is the video. So I don't believe that there would be any expenditure or requirement on either of our behalfs to have a physical presence at the RITT. If that's been, I don't think Providence or North Providence or Warwick does that.
Yeah.
But certainly double check that for you, but I'm 90% sure.
And I think also, you know, for Dr. Farand, you know, and for this committee, and please someone correct me because I'm not sure if this would be accurate. A free service would not require an RFP. However, if there was a service that was going to have a cost to it, there would be an RFP.
Yeah.
Although, if the cost wasn't coming from the school department, that RFP would be going through the city.
That's correct.
And so it's going to be imperative that if legislation were signed tonight, this is all for none. And we will need to have an RFP out in the next 96 hours or so, in my opinion, to be able to give time to vendors like Brad and Bus Patrol and anyone else who wants to apply for it, and to get us to the table where we're looking at that July 15 date of this needs to be completed.
I mean, even if you guys were able to get out an RFP tomorrow morning, usually an RFP period is about 2 weeks. If you guys shortened it to a week, you're still talking about, you know, at the end of next week, everybody would have submitted. You then need to take the time to read those RFP responses, which can be over 100 pages. I think ours, we just submitted one to New Haven that I think was 80-something pages. And you're gonna have those from, you know, I would imagine a couple vendors, right, at least. And you guys then have to take that and you know, put that together, score them, choose the vendor, and then you're talking about going for, the city council would have to approve the mayor's expenditure request, right? So I mean, this is why I say that I don't see us doing it in the fall, if that's the case, because I think the process takes that long. We're ready to go at a moment's notice. You tell me you want to go with Bus Patrol, I'm putting time on the calendar now to like, if you guys vote tonight that you want to go with Bus Patrol, I'm not waiting for contract negotiations. I'm not waiting. I'm calling my implementations team tonight, and I'm saying block off time for East Providence. If we have to go through an RFP, that's at least 2-3 weeks out from now, because you have to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think also, you know, a challenge is, like you said, the school committee is responsible for selecting the vendor.
Sure.
But the school committee and the school department are not the sole signers of any contract.
They are.
No, it was just.
Not according to our legal counsel, in this particular instance.
No one from the town signed in Providence, North Providence, or Warwick. I'd be happy to double check that, but it's, the school district is the body enabled to choose a vendor and negotiate a contract. The town is not in the law. Even in the new law, there is a provision that says that the chief of the police department must be, must have, I don't forget the exact word. I don't think it's approval. There's another word. He has to have opportunity to discuss the program and weigh in on it. He or she, the chief of police. But even the new legislation doesn't require that the town does anything. Now, of course, if the town were the ones footing the bill, of course, then you have a procurement process that would happen at the town side. However, the legislation is very, very clear.
Through the chair.
And I'm happy to pull that up on my phone.
I think we'll have to wait and see what the signed legislation is, because I think there's some changes that you may or may not be aware of as well.
No, I read the copy.
RITT, that might not even be going there anymore, so we'll have to wait and see what the final bill legislation was.
I mean, the bill went from the Senate to the House, back to the Senate. I read every copy.
It may come back to the municipal court. I don't know. We'll see.
Honestly, that would be an ideal situation. That would lift that RITT summons requirement off of your law enforcement. They would just have to watch the video and then generate our ticket, which would be much, much easier on them. So that would be a net gain. However, again, in my most reading, and I read the bill that passed, I promise you, I read the entire bill that passed. It says that the police department has to be involved. The chief specifically has to be involved in the conversation. But there's no requirement that the town, like it is specifically the school district that chooses a vendor and negotiates a contract.
But the chief of police is a signatory on the contract, though.
In the new legislation, I don't know, wait, I don't think so, no.
No, no.
The legislation reads that the school department, with input and approval by the municipal police chief, may enter into an agreement. So
Yeah,
it
so-
needs the police chief's signature, who is a department head of the mayor.
I mean, if that's how you define approval, absolutely, it would need the signature of the police chief, absolutely. The new law, not the old law, that was not in the old law. But if the governor signed the new law, then that's now
Just
the
for
law.
reference, that's what we've always done in the past.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm just telling you, like, y'all, what I'm hearing is that it has to go through this approval process on the town side, and I just, that's not the case. You do, in the new law, you do need the approval of the police chief, right? So that is, yes. I would argue that that's a very vague sentence. Certainly, approval would be satisfied with a signature.
Dave, the question I have right now, what is the school committee going to do with this? Because at Tuesday night's meeting, the city solicitor said basically 3 times has nothing to do with the city. And that's been my argument all along. So either,
I think he said the city council. I think he meant the
no,
city council.
the city, well, the city, exactly, the city council and the city. He said this is a school committee issue. So is this a school committee issue according to the?
In the new law, you need approval from the police chief. If the governor hasn't signed that law yet, then the way that the law currently reads, no, there's no
No, but this-
input necessary from the town. I mean, and listen, to be fair, right, after the first time that I came, I specifically asked, Tony, you can vouch for this, I specifically said, I need to talk to the mayor and the police chief. I'm not coming into a community and doing a program unless I talk to the mayor and the police chief. I cannot do that, right? Especially the police department, they're the ones we need to work with. But why would I ever, I'm not gonna walk into a town and not talk to the executive chief, right? I was under the impression that he had already been briefed and was aware that I was coming to the school committee. I later found out that that was not the case. And so I worked to rectify that, right? But either way, I was gonna have a conversation with him before we entered into agreement, or you guys voted on us. I was not gonna move at that stage until we talked to both of them. So I wanna be very clear that this is not me advocating to cut them out of the process. I'm just telling you strictly what the law says. Until the governor signs, which may or may not have happened today, I don't think it did, but you guys can correct me if you see that he signed. Up until that governor signs that new law, there is no requirement for any signatures or approval from the town. They don't get a say on the vendor, they don't legally get a say on the contract, on the terms, they don't get a say on any of that, legally. I involved them because I felt it was the right thing to do, and I'd never walk into a community without engaging those folks. I mean, if I don't have the support of the police department, I don't have a program. They could just decline all my tickets. I'm not going to install on buses if they're going to, you know what I mean? So it's imperative that I have the support of those individuals. But legally, the contract and the vendor selection they're not legally part of that process.
And so after you had those conversations with those individuals, what was your experience?
My experience was that they were very frustrated with the financial breakdown of the ticket revenue, which at the time, my legal counsel had been very clear to me that I could not budge on that. We engaged with some additional attorneys. We brought our attorneys to the table. We had some conversations. I was told Tuesday that I could come to the table with, I was told Tuesday afternoon that I could come to the table with an additional, there's nothing in the law that prohibits us from essentially giving you another 15% of the ticket revenue. So that was sort of a way around it to satisfy the mayor's request. And that was the closest I could get to his 30% number. But again, his 30% number is going to come with buying the system. My 27.5% comes with absolutely no capital outlay from you or the town, or the bus company, or the police department, or anybody, other than their labor required to review the tapes.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I just want to clarify something. The first time you came to speak to us, you weren't on the agenda. So
Yeah.
I didn't have time to research you coming or anything. You spoke under public comment, which for many years, this school committee has not answered back during public
Of
comment.
course.
So we didn't get to have a full-blown discussion.
Right.
So we didn't get to discuss it with the city council or the mayor or everything like that.
Sure.
I know, and I'm not going to speak for all of us, but I think we all want the cameras. Like, we're not anti-camera.
I know.
We are trying to do it the best way we can and to have it done by first day of school.
Sure.
So this is the first time, in my opinion, that you have gotten to come speak in front of us, where you can educate us and not come up during a 3-minute public comment.
Right.
So I do appreciate you again coming up and speaking.
Of course.
And it is not on the agenda to vote on. Our attorney is not here today, so I don't know if we could just decide to vote on something. I've never done that in the 11 years I've been up here, but I'm sure someone will criticize that I haven't. But again, I'm very grateful that you have given me this information that I can now go back and look. Again, I will reiterate what Ryan says. The mayor knows how much we want these cameras.
Sure.
And financially, I'm just gonna, shoot it out there. We can't afford them. If we have to pay for them, we can't.
I know that's,
So,
sorry.
based on that information, when the mayor says to us, you'll get the cameras by the first day of school, you have my word. And now it's been said twice tonight in public. I do have to trust him that he feels the same way we do about children's safety.
I'm sure.
I don't know if the bill is passed. I don't know what laws we're working on right now. I think we're all trying to figure that out right now. But that does totally depend on what decision the school committee goes forth with.
Sure.
Because if it's signed and you need the chief, I did ask for I sent an email to the chair asking for the chief of police to come to this meeting or to a meeting where we were discussing you and other cameras, because I feel like that's the missing piece here.
Yeah.
But again, he does work for the mayor, so
course.
I understand that too. But again, I'm going to say again, we want cameras on these buses by the first day of school.
Yeah.
So any way that we can do it, we're going to do it where it doesn't financially put us in a deficit.
Sure.
Which is probably, if you're talking $230,000,
Yeah.
that's a handful of teachers that we would have to get rid of in order to do that.
And I certainly wouldn't want to be the,
No, not me, no.
Yeah.
So, again, I thank you for coming, and I do have to digest this and try to figure out where we're going from this. And based on legislation, we could be screwed or not screwed. I don't know. Okay,
I
there we go.
understand.
So, real quick, sorry, our attorney did get back to me. We cannot, under any circumstance, vote on something that's not on the agenda, and he will send me the language.
Okay.
One final thing, Brad, really quick. Sorry to cut you off. However, do you have a contract written and approved by your attorneys at the 60, 12 and a half, 27 and a half split right now, ready to go?
Yes, the way it's written, it's on my computer right now. I can give it to you right now. What I have written is, because RITT gets the payment, right? And RITT is going to disseminate the funds, 75, 12 and a half, 12 and a half. We will then, at the end of the month, give you sort of a reverse invoice where it's a negative invoice, basically, where we're like, okay, here's how many tickets were paid, and we owe you $37.50 times that number of tickets. And so, yes, effectively, the way that the contract is written, you end up with 27.5%, and I end up with 60%. The company ends up with 60%. I just want to be very clear about that, because that's spelled out in like a whole paragraph. So it doesn't clearly say there. What it says is RITT will disseminate the funds. We're going to give you $37.50 per ticket at the end of the month. We'll review the invoice with you monthly.
And I would suggest and ask if you could share that contract with,
Sure.
this school committee, so, we can
Yeah, I can email that to you as soon as we're done.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
How many years was this contract written for? Or is
Usually we
it-
ask for 5. I can do so it's 5 plus 5.
Yep.
I can do 3 plus 3, is
Okay.
what we've done in some other communities. It's up to you. The reason I would advocate, it doesn't matter to me, right? I'm going to work my hardest to make you happy and make you want to renew, right? And I've never had a company leave, right? I've never had a single company leave, or sorry, a single town leave my program, right? So I'm going to work real hard to make sure that you all want to renew and you're happy with us. So quite frankly, it doesn't matter whether you do 3 plus 3 or 5 plus 5. The only thing I would say is when you're at the end of that second renewal, right? Let's say you do a 3 plus 3, do we now default to that old state law? I don't know where this law leaves us when it comes to renewals, and I probably won't for some months. We have to have our attorneys talk to the state attorneys and digest what's in the bill, and we don't know if there's going to need to be an additional adjustment next session or the session after that. So I can't tell you where we'll be at the end of that term. That's why I might advocate, if you're happy with what you're looking at, to do the 5 plus 5. It's up to you. That doesn't, I'm going to make you happy anyway, either way.
Yeah, and again, like, I don't think this is the correct stage for, like, contract negotiations.
Sure.
But I would encourage and appreciate getting us the approved contracts with that language on your
Yeah.
end. This committee has not seen any such contract.
Sure.
And, when you walk out of here, click send, and it'd be great.
Yeah, I can do that. I just fully transparent. I wasn't withholding it. I got it 2
No,
hours
totally.
ago.
Absolutely.
I was driving here and my attorney called, the company attorney called, and he's like, I have it ready for you. Just want to clarify this is how you want it to look. He read it to me. I said yes. I still had like another hour to drive here or something like that. So I wasn't withholding you. It took us we got approval Tuesday afternoon to do this, and then it took us about 2 days to write the contract. So I did just want to remark, I do think I owe some of you an apology for surprising you at that last meeting that I showed up to. I was invited to attend that meeting, and I only showed up because I was invited. It was not an intention to surprise or anyone. I was asked to come and talk about the program, so I did that. And for anybody that was caught unaware, I sincerely apologize. You should have been briefed by me before that. I should have made sure. So apologies that I know how you feel. I've been an elected official. I know how that feels. And y'all should have been, you should have received at the very least an intro email and like a fact sheet from me beforehand. I have given everyone my cell phone number. It's at the bottom of the email I sent you. It's on the card. I will give you another card today. That is my cell phone number. You can call, you can text me. I respond. I'm always on. So I will respond. If you call me, I will pick up. If I'm in a meeting, I will call you right back after. So I promise you will get a response from me. And so if you guys decided that you want to squeak something in before maybe the governor hasn't signed, governor's planning on signing after the 4th, if you guys wanted to squeak a special meeting in before the holiday, certainly I am going to be completely on call to you all weekend.
Brad, if you can just send that contract to our attorney as well.
Absolutely. If somebody could just provide me with the email
Okay,
address,
yeah.
I'd be happy to include them. And I'll include all of you at this table. If you have any business cards, that would be helpful, but otherwise I'll try to grab all of your emails off the school committee website.
And this was, we've been talking for the last 6 weeks or so, trying to get this through.
Yeah.
I look at it a little bit different. I look at it as, the kid safety doesn't have a dollar amount on it. So in other words, this committee, school committee, had the opportunity 5-6 weeks ago, put this on the fast track, slow it down over the last couple weeks, really bring you in, have the opportunity to put the other company on. It's basically only my opinion, it's a political situation. What you just did tonight threw another long, drawn-out process in there by saying that you're willing to give us 27.5%.
Thought that got us
Because
closer.
the argument that was out there was, oh, well, I'm going to save the taxpayers all kind, because the ratio was so far apart. And if you look at how this was stonewalled, meetings buried, who couldn't meet it, couldn't meet the schedule, all because of individuals want to go along with the mayor. But the mayor had a little ammunition by saying the track was so far apart. By you meeting it and saying now it's only 2.5%, you're going to see 5 elected officials sit here and do nothing like we've done for the last 6 weeks.
I'm sorry that I didn't have approval for a more agreeable financial breakdown sooner. This is something that I've spent night and day on for.
Yes.
I knew this legislation was out here. I didn't know the attachment was coming, but I knew this legislation was out here. The moment the amendment was attached, I've spent more time with the company attorneys these last couple weeks than they care to have spent with me. I promise you, I've not spent a single day, Saturdays and Sundays included, where I haven't been working on this to try to push the company in a direction that got us closer. It's my apologies that took me until Tuesday.
You're not the one that has to apologize, Brad. You were readily available, I think 6 times I called you from other states. It's just, this is how the East Providence system works. Right now, we're looking at, in other words, the mayor has put out and promises that he's gonna pay for this with Google money. The only issue that, I have with that, he's gonna have to really, do what he has to do to get that money for Google. He has no money, just like we have no money. Google account is something that's been around for years. We had some great detectives that did some serious drug work many years ago. We retained millions of dollars. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get that money. And that's where I'm really concerned about. The school committee says we would like to see it, or we want it by the first day of school. And I don't know if any of them's ever tracked how long it takes to get Google money. It takes a long time to get Google money. And I don't care if the mayor thinks he's just gonna go tell them, I want $230,000, $240,000 of your money.
Yeah.
It just don't work like that. That's feds involved with that and everything. So I'm very concerned where he would be coming up with say on the low side, $230,000 to get this ball rolling. And I just think that we should be apologizing to you for not doing a better job 5, 6 weeks ago. We should have had you in here 5, 6 weeks ago. We should have had the other company in here 3 or 4 weeks ago. And if there's 4 or 5 of them, we as a school committee don't operate like that. A majority of us take our marching orders, they take them and they deal with it. Here it is now, 3 days before the governor may sign something, and you're on our agenda where we can ask back and forth. I tried to make that happen 6 weeks ago. Yeah. Without no success. So it's definitely not your fault. It's a political setting that we're in, and our kids, once again, are under limelight of it.
Yeah, I appreciate your words to me. I certainly recognize that, every municipality is going to have a political reality that, these discussions have to take place. I certainly hope I've done a good job of presenting the information in a fact-based way. I do take this relatively personally. When I fail to close a deal in Oswego County, would that 12-year-old girl still be alive if I'd closed that deal? I take it very personally. So I appreciate you all allowing me to be here this evening. I feel incredibly
Through the chair.
grateful and appreciate you giving me the
Go
time.
ahead, Tony.
There was nothing stopping any of us us members up here from doing our homework. I did a cost-benefit analysis. I did a return on investment analysis. Some of us up here met with other vendors. There was nothing stopping any of that from taking place. To sit here and say, we could have done X, Y, and Z, yeah, we could have all have done that. Some of us actually did. We've tried to vet some of these vendors. So if someone's not happy with how we proceeded, they can certainly have done things differently themselves.
Oh, I think I'd pushed as hard as I could for 6 weeks with roadblocks to do it exactly like this.
Yeah, but that didn't stop me from contacting Bus Patrol or contacting another vendor or asking for information, getting contracts.
I never said it did. There's 5 of us up here, not 1 or 2.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I'll get that contract to you all, and if you don't mind, can I approach to pass out cards so you all have my cell phone?
Can I just
Absolutely.
ask one last question?
Of course.
This new contract, does it piggyback the Providence one like the Warwick one did prior, or is it a completely different
It's a
contract?
direct negotiation, so no, it doesn't piggyback Providence
Okay.
anymore.
All right.
The Providence is at the state 75, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, and
But,
this is,
so the entire contract's different, not just the revenue share portion of it?
I wouldn't say that the entire contract's different. I mean, I certainly.
No, we'll see it once you
There's
provide it.
responsibilities that are the same, so we've, essentially copied and pasted those.
No, just-
But the financial breakdown is completely different, and you, like, I think I provided you with the Providence contract.
Yeah,
I
I
may have
understand.
provided you with Warwick
Right.
as well. It's not gonna be like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. I'll see it
completely
once you
different.
send it.
Yeah, I'll send it over, please. I don't care if it's midnight tonight. I don't care if it's 1 a.m. I don't care if it's Saturday night. If you call me, if you text me, I will respond. So please, feel free. Thank you.
Next item.
Ocean State Transit, question and answer session.
Thank you. Hey, we need to get you want Andrew's email, right?
Sure,
if you'd like to write
it down on my card. I'll
have it.
any emails.
Have a quick.
And, I mean, if residents, anybody has questions, my cell phone number can go to anybody.
A-H-E-N-N,
Hold on. A-H-E-N-N
E-O-U-S
E-O-U-S
at H,
is it?
H-C L-L
H-C-L-L
A-W-R-I.com.
A-W-R-I. That's Andrew's. Yep. Wait.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So you had some questions. Do you want to answer, do you want to ask the questions, or do you want to?
No, we're talking to the guy from,
Yeah.
don't be
I
scared,
thought
tell
we
him
were
to
talking,
come to
I
the
thought we
mic
were
there.
Oh,
talking
you
to
want
that
to talk
gentleman.
directly to Andy?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what?
Well-
We want to talk
Oh,
directly to Andy.
okay.
Yep.
But there was some
Sorry,
question.
no disrespect,
But there was
Well,
also, through
I
the
don't know
chair,
if
there
I'm
were
gonna say
also
none
some
taken on
questions
that one.
with
Andrew?
the sheet that they sent out last time,
Okay,
remember?
well, if you have a question that's specific
Nope,
for,
that's all
for
right. Andy, why don't you come on down?
one of them, that's fine, but I want this
Oh,
gentleman to
no,
answer the question.
yeah,
While
thank you,
they're
Andy, for
there.
coming down. However, at our last meeting, we did have question, just in terms of this financial impact sheet was missing. And so the contract we were looking at earlier this month was really just showing, a $3.6 million year-over-year contract, 3.6, 3.9, 4.2. And that was just a major $3 million variance, between what we budgeted for, this fiscal year. And so, and I hope you had a great vacation.
Thank you.
But, without folks here to be able to answer those questions, the committee was just on a standstill, being able to, pass a contract that had such a
Yeah,
$3 million difference.
Right, so that wasn't part of, that's not really Ocean State's deal, right? So the bid that you have in front of you, that 3.6 million, was just for the 33 buses that were put in place. It didn't have anything to do with what we pay statewide. It didn't have anything to do with what we pay in vans. And if you look at what I think Dr. Ferran sent over, you had all of those pieces put in place for how we got to that 7 million. It's basically and how we got to that was just taking the bills that we have, or the invoices that we've paid thus far, and showing you what we do pay. Now, will some of that, could we have like a cost avoidance? Absolutely, because we now don't have to pay for the transportation for craft. So that's a big ticket. We're looking into the fact of possibly sending the private and charter schools to the state because we could get reimbursed for that. I have a meeting with them tomorrow. So instead of the 36 buses, which we would keep in place, we have 33. Having said that, there are ways that we could save some money for sure. But how we got to that 7 million is going to be including all of the costs, not just the bid that were put into place for the 33 buses.
Yeah, which is outlined in the 3-year fiscal impact,
Correct.
which we were missing 2 weeks ago. So I actually, I do have 2 questions and a comment for Andy.
Okay.
If you, they're nothing super heavy. First question, and I could just be overlooking it here in this contract. What is your policy on having outside vendors using camera companies? Is there any like fiscal, yeah, if we have any vendor installing cameras on your buses, do you have, is that?
No issue for us.
No issue,
You know, we use the other company right now, and, you know, the only coordination we'd have to have is the installation time period. So, you know, as Brad mentioned, whenever it would start, or whomever would start it, we'd have to make the buses available to them. And that's the only coordination piece that we would have to.
Yeah, yeah, and I asked that because doing some due diligence on, you know, cameras, talking with some other school committees and school districts who recently installed, actually bus patrol, in the past 6 to 12 months, they had to do some rewriting of their contract because their transportation, their busing contract didn't disallowed it. And so there was like just some juggling they had to do. So I just wanted to clarify that there wouldn't be any type of juggling for us to do, you know, with this contract. My second question, and it's not really a contractual question, but maybe just a morality question for your company. Recently, in a neighboring school district, there was some issues of misconduct with staff on buses and children. And so I'm just curious if maybe you could just touch on a little bit about like the professional development, trainings, and background checks that, like, you know, all of the staff that would be driving and monitoring these buses go through.
We do have training, background checks that every employee that we have goes through. I don't want to comment on the other situation, but it is, you know, protocol in our company. We have national background check, state background check, national fingerprinting, drug tests, and then intensive training, followed up by quarterly, monthly trainings, depending on driver versus monitor versus aide.
Can I, through the chair, this is following up with Ryan. The contract that we were given, and again, due to the fact that it's out there, it doesn't have anything about driver's qualifications, compliance with laws, indemnity, liability. Would you be opposed for that information to be put in there? Or
I believe that the contract references the RFP, which has all the information that you're talking about.
can someone show me? This is all I have.
Would you like me to approach?
Yeah, please. Don't mind my notes.
Right there, section 3, letter A.
The transportation service is to be provided by the contract. The obligations of the district are more particularly described or set forth in the following documents. So where would I find the district's request for proposal and the contractor's proposal bid? Because I don't have that either, unless it's this one. So where is it in this? So I just want to clarify.
We did receive
I
it
just
by
want to clarify
email.
two things. Two things. One, we were asked to make a decision at our last school committee meeting without a 3-year fiscal impact statement, which is a joke if anyone thought we were going to. None of us even, we were given the numbers that did not state $7 million. And then 7.5, and then 8. We just weren't given that information. So for any of us to make that decision, it would have been in poor judgment. Number two, if I'm given pieces of paper, either via text message, email, and then in person, it should all be together so I can read it. It should all be together so I don't have to reference going back to something that I maybe have gotten 2 months ago. I am the fact that I can't read anywhere about personnel assigned under this contract and what they have to comply with, and driver's qualifications and personal requirements, I want to see that. So however I can get that before I even agree to this contract, and I understand we're not going to talk about other things, but the community next to us is talking about it, so I'm going to talk about it. And my friend down at the end is also talking about it. So I really would like to know where that information is and how I can get it quickly.
If I may, I believe the full bid pack and full RFP were attached at the last committee meeting. It is a
Correct.
very, very large document, so I will just say that's probably why it's not.
I don't understand why we couldn't just print it out. I have it here. Why can't we just print it out knowing that this was here, we were gonna talk about this tonight? Why not be prepared?
It was April 11th it was sent, the full draft of the RFP, which was 100 and I think like 80 pages.
Through the chair, can I circle back to Andy? First, I wanted to say thank you for agreeing to the changes that I had requested. I appreciate that.
5 pages, I was.
Secondly, just going back to the training, does that include, driver safety and protocols that they need to follow, as far as like, they shouldn't be on cell phones,
Yes,
it has to be completely hands-free,
Yeah,
because I see on social media pictures of stuff that's happening in our district from drivers, and I just want to know if that's allowed or not allowed.
No, cell phones are a strict no hands policy. So, again, any information you guys have, if you forward it to the school department, they'll let us know and we can handle it.
Also, I just wanted to confirm, there's been a lot of information put out recently in regards to cameras on our buses. Can you please confirm that our buses have internal cameras?
They do.
Because people are saying otherwise.
They're all on there. Every bus is equipped with 3-head camera. One faces forward, one faces the driver, and one faces the cabin of the bus, lengthwise.
I believe you because I know Diane reviews the video. I just wanted to
Yeah.
put that on the record, please.
Do all your vans have it as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
We do regular PM maintenance on stuff, and that's part of the checklist to make sure they are working. Once they leave the PM, there's a possibility that it bounces around and the wires become loose or whatever. We certainly have had that happen before, so there's instances where we look for footage and we don't have it.
So you are confirming that they are on the vans, correct? Is
Yes,
that
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, sorry.
And just so I can get in here as the Director of Operations and oversees transportation, when something comes up with regards to an issue with either a bus driver, a student, a monitor, that always comes back to me. And it is either determined right up front what needs to be done, if it's an egregious act or whatever, or it's talked with Sandy. I don't pull any punches with any of the staff because I know how important safety is. And we will not allow anything to happen to our students if we're aware of it. And Ocean State has been an excellent partner with making sure that they are totally transparent. It may not be as quick as I like sometimes, and they always apologize. And, there's word out there that if Diana's calling, it's not always a good thing. But I think they try very hard to make sure that our kids are safe and don't put any don't put anything in the light that would be detrimental to them or to us, so. And as far as the cameras are concerned, we don't have a lot of cameras on the buses. Like we have maybe 8 or 10 buses that were identified as heavy trafficked buses, and that's where our current vendor or the supplier of the stop arm has put them. Have we talked to them? Yes, we have. And at this point in time, we're still looking at, looking at all the options.
Yeah.
Diane, just to follow, you opened up a good point right there. So,
Tony, you got Mike.
I'm sorry, so we have roughly how many buses do we have?
We have about 33, well, right now we have 36 buses, and we have about 15 to 20 vans
All right, so 36 buses.
with the Ocean State.
Okay, yeah. So out of 36 buses, we have 8 cameras on them?
Out of
Out of 8 of them.
36, we have like 8 or 10
The
cameras.
stop-arm cameras?
The stop arm, right.
Why wouldn't we have them on all the other ones? Who would make that decision?
I think it was, again, I think it was a combination of the stop arm, the vendor for the cameras and the police department, because they're the ones that were looking at the cameras. They're the ones that were issuing the tickets, so.
So those decision makers were all made by none of the 5 of us sitting up here?
I don't believe,
So that contract had been in effect since 2010.
right,
So it's an older contract.
Yeah.
And I don't know if school committee were the initial decision makers in that. I don't know how they got, I was not in central office in 2010, and I don't know if anyone, were you on the committee? No. That was before all of us. So I don't know if it came to the committee. I don't know if it was initiated by the city, but it was just rolled over
It was-
since
yeah.
2010.
and it was initiated by the city, because I remember being in the conference room between the superintendent and, the both previous superintendents and the chief of police.
So that's something else that the city took away from us. Nice. And as we
Well,
can tell, we have
But I don't, I can't say that they took it away from us because of the fact that they were the ones that were getting it was going to them to begin with. So it was never coming to us, right? And none of the money was ever coming to us.
We don't-
And what they basically said was that
With no disrespect, I don't care about the money.
No.
I got 36 school buses in this district with 8 cameras on it. I don't care about the money.
No,
The mayor does.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that I'm
I'm a
worried
school
about the
committee
money.
elected official. I'm worried about 5,300 kids, 800 employees. That's what I get sworn into to the best of my ability.
And I-
Not what the
and I
dollar and
appreciate that.
everybody else says.
I appreciate
36
that.
buses in this district with 8 stop-arm cameras is a shame.
You did not let me finish, but I appreciate that, and I understand and agree with that. However, the money that came to the municipality went to crossing guards. That's where they said the money went. So, and somehow, we also did benefit from, or our students benefit from the crossing guards, because they were the ones that was how they. Now, am I disagreeing with you that I believe 8 cameras were sufficient? No, I am not. So that was another reason why we talked to other vendors to make sure that whoever took on the contract was going to take on the contract for all the buses, and if they could provide the internal cameras to the buses as well, that was something else that we had discussed.
So our camera money, out of 36 buses, we got 8 cameras. The 8 cameras that created some money was to support crossing guards. Nice. Thank you.
Through the chair, I'm just curious, if we do, this is funny,
Okay. It's for Andy?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think, I don't know if he can answer or not, but in the current contract, it accounts for 3 internal cameras, correct? And that's supplied at the vendor's cost, your cost, correct?
Correct.
So how would that be impacted if we went with a stop-on program that provided internals? How would that all work then? Because that's already built into the cost. Would that back out after, or would we?
It would, over the 5-year term of the contract, 3 plus the 2 option years, we would credit the school district with whatever our cost of cameras is. I don't have that number in front of me now, but I can, talk with my people to get you something in
So
the coming weeks.
in order to fulfill this new contract, you're going to purchase new equipment, I would assume, if you only have one?
As
'Cause
far as
current-
cameras?
yes.
Yes, we have on order, actually 4 head cameras, which exceeds the contract language, so it's another angle that we have. So we'll have those hopefully in hand within a couple of weeks and installed.
Brand-new system, NVR, everything?
Say that again, sorry?
It's going to be a completely brand-new system?
Brand-new camera system, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Through the chair, has our legal team gone through this contract? And so I'm curious why we still have our old legal representation on page 4.
Correct.
That's, contract, are they talking about the?
Yes.
Yeah.
The contract that we have, he's right, it has
Yeah,
Ben
and
Scungio.
that was one of the things that I saw tonight that I was going to talk to Alex about, but yes, it would have to change.
And there's a couple other changes that were made.
Exactly.
So if you don't mind, I just want to, I did thank you for telling me where all this is. The school committee does have a right to say goodbye to a driver if necessary. It says it right in there.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, so the school committee has reserves the right to reject any and all drivers,
Correct.
5.4. Also, the school committee has the right, or it says the school district, I'm assuming that's us, to have all drivers, including substitute drivers, be trained in first aid, CPR, seizure, bullying, assertive discipline, restraint training, allergy reaction, and EpiPen administration, threat assessment, suicide prevention, and special ed education training when deemed appropriate. Do we ask any or all of our drivers to be trained in any or all of these items? The East Providence School District.
All drivers, just in the last 18 months, I believe we've had a suicide prevention as well as a bullying in this building, right?
Yep.
So we could request, we'd like special education trained,
And we have.
and we have, okay. Can I just let me know when that last training was for our drivers so that I can see it with my eyes?
There's actually another one coming up probably for August 12th, which is their back-to-school startup. So I'm planning on being there and for some general housekeeping stuff that they need to go over. But, you know, whether it be their safety trainer for special ed or the department, the director of PPS can do it, that would be great.
Is that training once a year? How often does that training take place?
It's usually once a year, yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that we don't talk to the driving team and the dispatchers and the assistant managers about specific students that might come up that might need extra support.
And internally, in STA Ocean State, we have 8 trainings a year for drivers and 3 for monitors. So that's our company policy, and we, as I said earlier, we do it monthly or quarterly, depending on who they are.
Perfect, thank you.
And we have disqualified drivers, just so you know.
I'm sure we have. The other thing I just want to make sure, and again, when we're given all this different paper, months differently, I mean, we're in June right now. I apologize that I did not go back and read this all, but I am now. So you were given, Diane, let's see, you were given a copy of all the licenses, driving record, CORI and SORI reports prior to the beginning of the school year for all of our drivers.
Is available. to
Okay,
me.
so I'm asking you to get it this year.
Sure. Yep.
I'm, through the
And that-
superintendent, I am asking that be provided to her at the beginning of the school year, and then told to us, we don't need it, I'm sure it will, but I would like to be told when she gets it, and that she has looked it over. And that has to be minimum of 2 weeks prior to the first day of school.
No problem.
Thank you.
We have that all on file, so that won't be an issue.
Thank you very much.
And Andy, do you have a manual how you operate your company? Like maintenance manual, like in other words, how your company operates?
We have, throughout our company, we have, depending on maintenance, we have our maintenance program, which we included in the bid this year. We also have our safety policies and procedures, which is a manual for our managers and our assistant managers and dispatch to abide by, which covers a lot of, the important stuff. And, you know, we've got sections for pretty much anything that has come up. We have a lot of experience with our local company, Ocean State Transit. We've been around for over 15 years. And then our Student Transportation America, our umbrella company, has been doing this for a long time. And they mandate trainings, updates, and whatever else may be according to those policies. So if you'd like our, any of those policies, you can ask, and I'll just check with legal to make sure you can have them, but I don't see it being an issue.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Through the chair, I just wanted to thank you for clearing up the training, explaining all the different training, because we were led to believe that there wasn't any. So thank you for clearing that up.
Of course.
And I have a true, I can't believe that the old attorney is on this contract.
It was,
I just contacted Andrew, and he's gonna double check his emails to make sure that he did in fact go, I mean, obviously, he goes through a lot of,
Yep.
right, contracts, so he's gonna double check and get back to me to make sure they went through
But
that
even-
contract, but obviously, that's egregious,
Yeah,
yes.
through the chair, can you make sure that we all get acknowledgement that he has
Oh, absolutely.
read the entire contract?
Yep.
Because,
Yes.
I mean, it was a bold statement to be on this page that it wasn't him, so if he hasn't read it, I really would like to get a confirmation that he read it from, and the 85 pages that are in here, and sent to all of us, please.
Yep, I'll message him right now.
Can you just ask Mr. Wright if we, because we're going to vote on this contract tonight, if it's okay, if he says it's okay to vote on this with another attorney's name on it? And we can all sit here and say, it's okay, it's okay. I buy developments and stuff, and the worst thing to do is ever buy in a development with another attorney's name on it or an old homeowner.
well,
So,
wouldn't you make the, wouldn't you make the, I'm losing my train of thought. You would ask for the vote, but make the.
Yeah, but the
with
only problem,
caveat.
and I agree with you, we could easily do that, but my only problem is, did he read it? Because it's the first thing I saw, and I'm afraid that he didn't read it through, and I want verification before I say, we'll pass this, just a name change on page 3.
We'll send him all the documents tomorrow.
and I'm concerned just if he read it, how come he didn't catch it?
No, I don't know, honestly, we've got this in pieces. I don't know if Andrew has seen this contract. So I will take responsibility for that. I am not sure, I can't answer that. I'd have to go back through my emails. We've had a lot of documents lately that he has reviewed.
Did you just say you're not sure if he read it?
I'm not sure if we sent it to him. I'll take responsibility. I don't, if we sent it to him, he read it. But
Well, if he
again,
didn't read it, I ain't voting on it. That's my
then if we
point.
want to table it for the next meeting to be sure that he has read the contract, that's up to you, or that we have submitted it.
I'd feel more comfortable with that. I mean, they're the only guy in the block, they're not going on, they treat us fair. It's just certain things that I deal with in life that I just can't put my eyes around reading a large sum contract with an old attorney on it. That's the only sticking point. Everything else in it, I love your company, everything's good. It's just that a contract like that just shouldn't have an old attorney's name on it, and not knowing if he even read it.
Yeah, I would
it's-
think that if-
I take responsibility for that. I
I
mean, the
would think-
RFP is here on the contract, the award for the RFP. So, and then we can make sure that he has seen all of the documents with the contract.
He's actually getting back to me, but Andrew's a pretty sharp guy. I agree. I think that if he read that contract,
He
he would
would've
have picked
caught
up
that.
on the fact that
Yeah.
the old attorney's name was on there. Absolutely.
So we're looking at a 9% increase for years 2 and 3.
Correct.
And the 9% will come from the previous year. So year 2, it will go up 9%, and then literally it will be 18% from this year for year 3. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, for the most part.
9% in year 2.
Yep.
And from today's date to year 3, it will go up 18%.
Jess, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just, and I understand, in 2022, we were spending under $6 million. And I do appreciate and understand the fact that Ocean State is the sole applicant to the RFP. But we're looking at, I don't know, what's that, 30% in the past, from 2022 to 2027. What is your forecast and projection, Andy, the company's forecast and projection for, moving forward in the future? Is it going to be 10% increases year over year, just moving forward? Is that just going to be the expectation, or why the drastic moves every year?
I can't comment on the future. I don't know, right? We base our costs off of, we base our price off of our costs. That's the bottom line.
And I will say, like, our requirements for transportation have also changed. So we are with the ESSA, and we're and McKinney-Vento, we're transporting students all over the state that we did not transport before. So I do think, like, some of that is reflective in the fact that, our transportation needs have changed over the last few years, too.
It's just, to be honest, it's just something to, it's 8% of our overall budget at this point. It's a heavy cost. And that's, again, no shade or disrespect to Ocean State, to you, Andy, just pointing out the reality that, our transportation costs in the next 2 years are going to grow to 8% of the total budget, which could be a small number, but to me it feels kind of like a pretty big number right now. And I think that, especially considering the majority of conversations surrounding student safety, Andy, I appreciate you kind of laying out what Ocean State has done in the past, will continue to do in the future. And I don't want to kick open any can of worms that doesn't have anything specifically to do with East Providence, but is there what are the plans moving forward to enhance and grow the professional development for the drivers and the monitors? Are there future plans for, expanding on what you're already doing? I mean, I would say 8 trainings a year, 3 trainings for monitors right now. We're getting the information annually for all the drivers and monitors on all of our buses. We have the responsibility to then take that information, run background checks, Raptor checks, national sex offender checks as often as this district wants to do. But is there a plan moving forward from Ocean State to continue to grow and support the drivers to, ensure that high quality and ensure the higher standard of safety for students?
Yes, we're always working with our vendors. We view all of our contracts as partnerships, right? We're in this together. We're all in it for student safety. That's the #1 goal for us. Always has been, always will be. So, we're happy to work with our vendors, with our districts to improve anywhere we can, right? This is always a learning process. The environment's changing out there. So our company does take measures to investigate new technologies, new trainings, and things like that will improve student safety first and foremost, as well as efficiency and, trying to provide the best service possible for our clients.
And then to reiterate and then confirm what Ms. Bouchain said earlier, the language in the RFP, that essentially, to summarize, states the district could enforce professional development trainings on bus monitors and drivers at any time we please. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
One thing that I have to say is, and I'm going to reiterate, being that we've had a good partnership. Anytime I have come to Andy with a new idea, we've always talked about it. So if we had a concern because of a special ed need, we've talked about it, we've discussed it, and he's put it in place. It's never, well, let me see, let me wait and look at it. So I think that you can allay your fears of the training, because if in fact we needed one, it would be implemented.
Yeah, my personal experience as a parent of students in this district, which has grown from 1 student to now 3 students taking the school bus to and from school daily. We've had the same bus driver and bus monitor for the past 4 years now. speaking for these two individuals, I feel extremely comfortable having my 3 daughters on the bus with them. So, the questioning is nothing to do with, personal experience of service, but just more so of concern of, the rapid increase of the costs, in addition to making sure there's a heightened awareness, and we're putting that level of importance on, who our drivers and monitors are. I can only personally speak for one driver and one monitor, and putting that responsibility on this committee and this district to ensure that, August 12th is great. But what else are we doing, to support these drivers and monitors, for their safety as well. I think like what was just spoken, some of those rising costs are due to a rise of demand or a higher level of need. And so, it's about making sure that they're safe and well-trained as well. So it's good to hear that language does exist. And it only would strengthen the partnership between the district and, the vendor or the company.
Through the chair, I just want to circle back to transportation costs. I think the district's done a good job. We've transitioned. We try to use our small vans more, and that came at a tremendous savings to the district, and we're going to continue to look at efficiencies. I know Diane's looking at, she has some ideas, and I've looked at some stuff too, so there'll be some other opportunities, and with ride changing the zones, that was another savings to us. So there's going to be some opportunities for savings, but some stuff we can't control. Fuel, insurance costs, those are rising at a tremendous rate. So, and they're just going to pass that on to us, just like, with our own personal insurance and stuff. But thank you. That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
And Andy, I just want to ask, are our buses as clean as the inside as they are on the outside? Because I got a compliment. I travel around the whole state of Rhode Island, and I can almost pick your buses out by how clean they are. So I want to thank you and your maintenance team to keep them that way, as long as you can say the inside is the same way.
We're trying. I'll say we do have different levels of driver and monitor, attention to detail.
It's a pride issue with me to say, yeah, they're representing our district. When you see them going around the neighborhood, around the highway, they stand out like a sore thumb when you see other districts.
I will say, many of our employees treat them like their office or their home.
Excellent.
So.
That's big when you get employees that think like that, Andy. Thank you.
I can verify that, Tony, through my 14-year-old son. If he's pointing out how clean they are, then they're pretty clean. Are there any other questions? Andy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all for yours.
I guess. Yeah. Next item.
2025, 2026 budget update.
Yeah, just a quick update. So Alex and I have been working on the budget. Our first budget workshop was July 30th last year. We'll be ready to go on the next meeting, July 8th, to do our first budget workshop. We are still waiting for 2 of our federal grants to have the final dollar amount. So that's holding us up a little bit. Right now, with our federal funding, we're looking at an approximate cut of $340,000 to all of our federal funds. We did see an increase in state aid of just over $1.5 million. So we are working with that. Right now, we're just working to make sure all of our employee sheets, we have 793 employees right now, so we're going through any of the transfers that we have, all of the new hires we're placing in that sheet. So that's really our biggest line item, so we want to make sure that's completely accurate. So we've probably been working on that for almost 2 weeks to get everybody where they need to be and all the salary and benefits updated. So we will be prepared at that first July meeting to do the full first budget workshop.
Through the chair, the new budget state budget was signed and our number wasn't affected. I think it went up like very slightly.
It did. It went up just a little bit. We did lose the 468,000 in aid that we get for the craft program, but we no longer have to transport or pay for out-of-district out-of-district tuition. So we actually have notified all of the other districts, special ed directors and superintendents. We sent out a letter that should be going out to the organizations to let them know about the update to the change in legislation. And that's effective June 30th.
Just going to ask you that.
Yep, June 30th. So we said as of July 1st, they will take back the responsibility for the students that are in their district. So we will see some, we did lose aid, but we'll see some additional cost savings, I believe, in that out-of-district line item and in our transportation line item.
Just a question. Sandy, do you have any budget information that you can send us now? About 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had discussed it, and you had said just after Craig had left, you'd be sending us a lot of it. Do you have any information that we can have sooner rather than later, or do you want us to wait into our first workshop?
I really want to make sure that the staffing, as soon as I have the staffing list complete, I'll make sure that I get that out to you, but it's the
biggest number.
That's the biggest number, and it's a lot of work, and it's making sure that everybody's in the right place, that we have everybody where they need to be, we have all of the steps correct, we have all of the benefits correct, and right now we have transitions because we're hiring, so we hired someone today, we hired someone a couple weeks ago, and they just took a job somewhere else, so they left. So now it's removing that person, and so there's just a lot of moving parts right now, and that's why, we're just making sure that that's correct. I'm happy to send that out when I feel like it's close, it's going to be in a good position.
Because I don't know if it's happening in our district, but I know in some, teachers are going to pools, and then they're still figuring out where everyone's going to be. Is that happening within ours?
We're done. So we finished our, we don't do a job placement event like some districts do. We do interviews. So we finished our interviews, I think, early May, and then we posted all our positions outside on School Spring. So we filled the majority of our positions, and I'll update you again tomorrow with what's still open. But we have filled the majority of our positions. There are still some of the hard-to-fill positions. We have a couple of special ed openings that we've had a couple of interviews for, but, we were still looking for other candidates. And we just filled another position today. So we only have a couple of openings at this point. So I think and again, people will leave over the summer. Some people that take jobs will find other jobs so we'll still have changes, but for the most part, we're in good shape with hiring.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I noticed at the last week when you sent us the personnel openings, that we still had some openings, but I have not seen anything about the assistant to our HR director. I don't think we've hired. Staff accountant, we haven't hired, and the assistant to the facilities are still open positions, and they weren't on our list. So I just want to refresh all of your minds that those are still open, and we have not filled them. So I'm hoping that, so that we don't burn out some of those positions and the people in those positions that I just said, I really would like to make sure that in that budget, we see those positions and we take an active role in trying to hire for those positions.
The only one that has not been posted is the benefits position. The others have been posted, and we have candidates for those.
Okay.
Do you have a timeline for the assistant facilities director and when that interview process will start?
I don't. Dan and I have talked about it multiple times. It's just there's a lot going on right now, so we will get those up and running.
And you can keep us updated on that?
Yep.
And Sandy, just a question, I know we won't mention his name, but our carpenter, could we research to see where that window sticks so we can?
Yeah, I can discuss that offline, though. I don't want to, it's
To see
because
where
it's
it was at.
personnel. I can
And
give
how
you,
about-
I'll give you an update tomorrow.
And how about posting for our other plumber?
We did.
we
We
got no luck?
hired. No, we hired,
Oh.
and then they decided to stay in their own old job. So it's posted again, and we're looking.
Can I ask you just what the start and set, what we offered them, just a ballpark? I won't hold you to it.
I can't, wouldn't
Hopefully,
know.
are we at about 110?
No,
Yeah.
because it's a union position, so it's
no,
in
I'm
the,
ju- no, I'm
you
just-
know,
yeah.
it's in the contract, so whatever it was in the
Yeah.
contract, I'm not really sure. I don't know. If I said a number, I'd be
Yeah,
making
'cause
it up,
that's
so
gonna
I
be
don't
hard
want to do
fill
that.
that position based on,
Yeah, we
especially
did
with the
have
way it is
somebody,
now.
and then again, they changed their mind, so,
We can post that, sorry, Tony, we can post the carpenter position effective, what's the effective date that we can post that?
I had to look, I'm not sure. I'll update you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I believe it is posted on School Spring. I believe I saw it. The carpenter, I think, is already posted, I believe. I'll look, but I'm pretty sure that we did post that. And again, there's just a lot of positions that are up and down, so when I say it, yes, it was posted. It was posted on April 30th. So we'll look at there are some applicants, we'll look at those, and if there's no one, then we'll repost so it bumps it up to the top of the list again.
This is for the
Carpenter,
carpenter position.
Can I just sit in on an interview, please?
when we do them.
Thank you.
Any other questions with regards to the budget? Jess, all set? Thank you. Next item.
Public comment?
Renee Ignacio.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank Brad for coming tonight. Second, I'd like to thank Brad for speaking, and now I'll get my issue fixed at work today when the school year starts, so that when I have an issue, I don't have to worry about my cameras. So, with that being said, a month ago, I stood here before you speaking about the service that was being offered to EP for free. The service offers much-needed stop-arm cameras as well as cameras inside every school bus and van that transports students in EP. You all loved the idea, thought the program was great. I had all the information that you all needed. All you had to do was look and do all the research, which Tony DeSimus and I did. Tony did a lot of work. We worked with Tony Ferrara, and we decided that he had a lot to do, so Tony and I would take over. So when I first came to the committee in February, you also asked me to bring it to the city council to help with the support. So I did that in March, and they were supportive and said they couldn't do much because of the school issue. After a lot of confusions of back and forths and meetings being canceled and everything going on, I decided to go back to the council this past Tuesday night, ask for them to help with the support, to make the decision the right one for our kids. They stood their ground, including the city solicitor stating many times that they couldn't do anything because it was a school committee decision. I did the best I could for the kids of the city to be safe. This is my passion. That's what I did. When I finished speaking and I was walking away from the podium, I thanked the council, and I was just walking away, wasn't doing anything, when the chief of staff made a comment to me under her breath. I was immediately met with total disrespect by Mr. DeSimus when yelled at me, said I was nothing but a liar, told lies, and all I do is attack the school committee. Every time I have been before you or the city council, I feel I have been nothing but respectful, honest, truthful. Everything I can say, I have proof to back it up. Every bit of research I have done, I've had on paper. I have also have something that appears to be items that copy and paste from other people. Nothing has been provided, has been presented without loss or a statistic behind it. Yes, my email might have been a little off. Yes, I got a little pissy, sorry about that, but again, safety is my thing with the children. I have been harassed. Some have tried to intimidate me. Someone also went as far as send my personal email out, which you all know, and put my job on the line. Even the school committee chair stopped my special needs van with children on board as I was driving down the road and stopped me so that I would not hit him. He also stated that he was on the phone with Mr. Ferrara. at the time to discuss the personal matter of my email. You have my Facebook, my phone number, and everything else. I had to stop because it's protocol. If somebody steps out near your van, you have to stop. I was unable to move my van due to our safety protocols because he had his hand on my van, and I told him many times I had to go. I had kids in my van. I reported it to work.
Excuse me. I never touched your vehicle.
You
so
had your hand.
I never touched your vehicle.
And I wish I could prove it because my camera wasn't working.
I never touched your
So
vehicle.
anyways,
You have about a minute left. Thank you.
not sure what became of it because my copy of my report is right here. At a neighborhood meeting, Mr. Lewis says that, and I asked him point blank if it was appropriate, especially knowing I had children on board. He said, he did tell me that I lied when I was at the podium, and he did say it was appropriate to stop my van. Told me he also didn't know I had children on board, however. So I stand steadfast with ESP signing the contract for a free product that will not only keep every kid riding the school bus or van safe, but offering services for free as much needed cameras are. This is my passion. I will not be told to turn it down, to knock it off, to shut up, to do whatever. Not that anybody up there has told me to shut up or anything like that. I respect you. And that's it. Jess, you did call me. Unfortunately, I was at work, so I did try to call you back, but with all my doctor's appointments, and I'm sorry we could not touch base. My post was nothing against you. It was just a question. That was it.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry. So.
Chrissy Rossi?
So I just have a few questions. The contract that we're currently under for the cameras was signed by Bob, the last police chief, somebody else, and Sandy. Did you guys vote on it, talk about it? It was like a 6-month change. You knew about it? You didn't know about it? Did anybody else know that we had a contract for these cameras? Because I came onto the school committee in 2011. I never knew we had that.
So if the contract is expired in December, correct?
The contract that just got upped for 6 months, I think?
It was never signed.
It like should be,
The contract expired in December.
the contract expired in December?
So no, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have known about it. He wouldn't have known about it.
Okay, I was just checking. And this, the new revenue that's being, sorry, can you hear me? I'm sorry. The new revenue that's being offered is not chump change. It brings us up to, what was it, 27%, 27.5%? So it's really good, and it's free equipment. So I would just like to put my 2 cents in on that. And then if you could just double check with the new legislation, because as I read through it, and I did not study it, I don't know verbatim, and I'm certainly not a lawyer. But if you look at that, we have a municipal court. So when people get speeding tickets or parking tickets or whatever, you contest it here in the city of East Providence. It goes to our municipal court. We have that, I believe it's on a Thursday night. These tickets are being issued through our police department, which makes them a municipal situation. So I don't know that, I know, and I can remember from back in my old political days that I remember one of the officers giving me a ribbing about how we give money to the traffic tribunal and they want their cut. So I don't know that our money, and this is something you can look into, I truly don't know, but if you look at it, we may get that money directly to our municipal court, and then the kickback goes to the traffic tribunal. Don't quote me on it, I'm not sure, but if we have had this contract in place for all this time, since 2010, I think you said, right? How come all of a sudden, we need the mayor's blessing on it when under Title 16, you guys are fiduciary responsibility people right here. You guys make the decision about money. I'm not sure how the mayor was able to get entangled in this and on the legislation. Again, I didn't study it, but it looks like it just has to be vetted through the chief of police. It doesn't say anything about you have to bring it to our city council, you have to bring it to your mayor. It doesn't say anything about that, and you guys have all the power through Title 16. So those are my 2, 3, 4 senses for the evening, but good luck.
Thank you. Next item.
Discussion action items. First up, facilities, summer update, summer project updates.
In your packet, you have a list of the projects that have been completed to date as of June 23rd on Friday.
I'm just gonna ask this question, I don't know, maybe I should start keeping track, maybe for the 7th time, 8th. Well, let me rephrase this. Is there a reason that we don't have dates on these projects?
Yes, because this is summertime, so our crew, the last few days and last week, is in and out, right? So we do those projects, and in addition, sometimes it's the weather too, right? Some of the crew may be out doing grass. On bad days, we might pull them in to do some of these projects. So the dates are flexible. These are the projects that we're going to get done with during the summer, but to commit to a day and say, this is the date we're going to have this by, I mean, we had, like I said, a very small crew this week, so as issues come up, we don't necessarily have them there working on those things I mean, this has been a hot week. We had air conditioning issues, so if we said our HVAC was going to be assigned to a certain project and it was going to be done by Friday, but we have these other things that he needs to do because it's the weather that's causing them, then he gets pulled off that project. So we've provided a list of projects that would get done this summer. Our goal is to have them all done by the end of the summer, and we will continue to update as the projects get completed.
So we don't have like a full running list for our painting crew or anything, what they're gonna do?
They do. We provided the list of what they're doing.
To us?
Of all the summer projects, Danny provided a list. You want a list by trade of what each person's going to do all summer?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Okay.
I don't want to say a day-by-day list, because
Well,
that'd be
so
what
that's not possible, because there's no way we could provide you with a day-by-day list of each and every person in the department and what they're doing.
You don't think that's done outside this district? Of course it's done.
Okay.
Well, you
But
can shake
I'm
your
just
head all you
saying,
want. I'm just
I
telling
didn't
you.
say it
It's-
wasn't
it's-
done,
it's
but
called-
what I am saying is,
It's called
somebody would have to
accountability.
sit down and write down a list to provide you every single day. We've given you a list of the projects that we're planning on
See,
doing.
sitting here for all these years, I used to go in with Tony's office and stuff. We had the big whiteboards.
There is a
It had
board.
everything listed in there. We were
Yep.
invited to see that. Every painting project, every project that this
Yep.
district was going to do. Why is it an issue now all of a sudden? If that's called a day-by-day.
It's not an issue, but a day-by-day list of
Well,
every project that every
Well, I
person is
said-
working
I
on?
said, I'm going to get to that point because I'm getting nothing.
Okay.
If you look at this
We
list.
gave you a list of the projects
we have to- we have-
last meeting, we gave you a list of the projects. This meeting, you asked for an update, we gave you a list of the projects that have been worked on or being worked on.
We have on here for the painter, I think we have the bathrooms at the high school.
Right, so that's what they're working on right now, is
And
the
I-
wallpaper in the bathrooms at the high school, when they're not on vacation right now.
What other projects do they have for the rest of the summer?
Okay, I'll find that
Oh, no,
out, but he
and-
did.
And the reason I'm asking that is because if you go into, and I'm not saying that I would prioritize these projects, that's not my job. But when you go through Riverside and I love that building, them handrails haven't been painted for years. When you go into schools and we see Peel and Luan offer doors, is there a list of all these schools that have these
There is a list,
cosmetic
and the paint
issues
has actually started in Riverside at Waddington, I believe, and started working their way back towards, like, through the schools doing painting when they were working nights.
Then what's
So
so,
they-
then what's so hard about getting this committee that list?
Of things that okay. I'll get you a list of, again, like I said, we've given you a list of projects for the summer. We have talked about what they're doing. We've given you an update right here. As far as a day-by-day list of what they're doing,
Sandy, please don't stick to the day by day. What I'm
but
saying is.
that's what you just asked me for. So
No, I said-
specifically tell me what you want,
No, I
and
said,
that's what
I
we'll
said,
get you.
I don't want to get there. What I want is, for the third or fourth year now, our chain link fences at our elementary schools
You're
have not.
picking out these
hang on,
one
hang
or
on.
two little projects.
Hang on. Can we just go one at a time? Like, you speak,
Well, she keeps
pause.
cutting me off.
All
I'm
right,
letting
yeah.
her finish.
cutting him off.
She's cutting me off.
All right, I'm just saying, one at a time. You, go ahead.
So what I'm saying, Sandy, after 3 years, you can call them little or not, but when they're dangerous situations, when a little kid can fall and get impaled onto a rod sticking out of a chain link fence, it's not that I'm saying I want it done this month, next month, but I just want to see where that's on a list for potential a summer project. So you can say, oh, that's only a minor thing. Everything, we can spin it and say they're all minor, until, God forbid, somebody gets hurt on them. What I'm trying to say is, I would just like to know, besides the guys that are cleaning our schools, what our maintenance crew guys have for jobs this summer, what our maintenance crew has to do this summer. If there's 4, 5, 6 different jobs, they should be listed, and I'm just asking for this committee to have it. I don't see an issue with that. I see,
Is this not what's in front of you and what we gave you last meeting? Of the projects that they're working on? We're giving you, this is like a week summary of all the things that they worked on. So are you looking for a list of anticipated projects? I'm not sure what you're asking for, just to be clear.
take the electrician. What 4, 5, 6, 7 projects do we see that electrician working
Doing
on this
for the summer?
What do we have the plumber projected looking on 5, 6 projects this summer? Our maintenance crews, what do they have looking? And naturally, if an emergency comes up, we would pull all of our manpower for that. What I'm trying to say is, I'm looking for accountability. I'm not saying that nobody's slacking. I'll say it, we got slackers. One thing about me, I say what my mind says. We got slackers. And I'll say it every meeting. What I'm trying to say is, we have some unbelievable guys who are really working hard out there. We have some slackers. Do I want to separate the two? We can't pay them different. They all have to get paid the same. But there's got to be something we can do for the slackers we got, and there has to be something we got for the phenomenal workforce we get across the board. And if we just let them go out there and do their thing, where is their accountability?
They have a list of projects.
Okay, well, I would like it then.
Okay.
Thank you.
They get assignments.
Through the chair, sorry. I think it's been brought up before, but I don't understand why we can't deal with some of this stuff in a facility subcommittee meeting. You know, we're bogging down this meeting. I think some of this could be handled elsewhere, just my opinion.
I agree with Tony. Sometimes I missed the meeting. The last 2 got canceled. We didn't have one. So I agree fully what you say. We didn't have one, I think, for the last 2 months.
No, we did. We've had 5. We did. We've had the last
cut me
one
off.
was the last one was rescheduled. And then that was when we brought the BMS people in last month, but you weren't able to attend that one. That was the last one last month. And then the next one is scheduled for this upcoming Wednesday.
So, wait a sec, so you have one this Wednesday coming up?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tony, you have the mic.
No, like I said, if we go, that's what I'm saying, but like I said, and I agree with Sandy, it was supposed to be on that Wednesday, it got postponed because Danny couldn't make it to the following Thursday. I think Tony went to Florida that time when I talked to him, it got postponed again. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what happened, and then we didn't have one, and then you sent out a thing. I don't think we should have a facilities meeting because we had the one 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks prior. That's the one that I missed. Exactly, because we postponed that one like 2,000. That's all I'm saying. Those are mine, and I understand what Tony's saying, but at the end of the day, I have the right to question and ask for information, just like anybody sitting here.
I don't disagree with you, but what you ask for changes, and again, you ask for a day-by-day, which I cannot provide with you. Again, I could give it to you after, but that means I'm taking somebody away to write down what everybody does every day to send to school committee so that they can, what? I mean, you asked for a list of projects, we provided it last time, we provided an update this time. I'll ask Danny to put something together for each person, what their summer projects are, if that's what you're looking for.
Or the group of trades, exactly, the group of
Okay.
trades. And the only thing, Dave, what I'm trying to do is prevent, if we have any projects that were hanging out there, like the sign for 3 years, if we can maybe fine tune some of them. That's all I'm trying to get to. My phone rings about projects that teachers been waiting for 2, 3, 4 years. And I'm saying, we're doing the best we can, we're doing the best we can. I just want to feel comfortable telling them that we are doing the best we can. Not knowing what they're doing, it's hard for me to say that. That's all I'm looking for, Sandy.
No, I can relate. I got a lot of questions about the outdoor classroom over at Silver Spring, so I understand what you're saying. Does anyone else have any other questions with regards to the summer projects update? Ryan, Jess? Okay. Thank you. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve 2025-2026 Chartwell's food service agreement.
Through the chair. Just a question on this. Looking at the overall revenues and expenditures, the total, and I'm just questioning because it's bold, so I'm just not sure. Is that a deficit or is that a surplus? Thank you. And so my follow-up question would be, I'm just kind of, where do we see that surplus fall on our budget line?
So there's a separate school lunch account that can only be used to do school lunch-related work.
Is that something that's like mandated through RIDE?
Yeah, so the school lunch balance is completely separate. It can't be used in the general fund. So things like the dishwashers that Danny was talking about last meeting, those would come out of the school lunch fund. The box truck for Chartwells that we purchased last year, that would come out of the school lunch fund.
And that's managed by the school department, not the city?
Correct.
Okay.
But I mean, I can give you a balance on that if you'd like.
The monies that would be in that balance or any surplus we have would be, like, would be guidelines that RIDE has set forth that you could expend on.
Correct. It's
Dishwashers, school
correct.
box lunch,
It's
like,
restricted to anything that has to do with the school lunch fund.
So I think maybe a follow-up on that would be, are there any expenses that you are planning on, or you project, for next year that some of these monies could be used for?
That are in the general budget or like just any projects?
Any expenses that would fall within these guidelines. So essentially, like if there's a surplus of funds that are sitting in an account that we can only use for specific needs.
Yep.
And we are projecting to, have a surplus again next year, which is great. And I'm not trying to just spend money because it's in there.
Right.
But are there certain things that, you project that we would spend that money on?
Just to give you an update, we, per the state mandate, we are allowed to keep 3 months' worth of expenses as a reserve. Some of the things, from my understanding, I have a training that my team is going to next month, but some of the things that we can do is just improvements, and we work with RIDE and our contracted Chartwells to decide what investments that we need to make at the end of the year. So that is the state's fiscal year. So that's coming up now. That's part of the process in July.
I can check with Danny about the specific projects.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know we did the dishwashers, or we're in the process of doing the dishwashers. Some of those came out of the school lunch fund. I don't know if there's anything else slated for this summer or the fall that would come out of that.
Yeah, I just think maybe it could be a good opportunity to apply that additional, layer onto some of the, facility updates, right? So, we replaced dishwashers. Well,
Yep.
that funding came out of the school lunch fund.
Correct.
Just, I think that would be a good layer to kind of apply, for awareness.
Yeah, things like cafeteria trays we've done in the past, like with the new legislation on the styrofoam, we had to replace some trays. So all of those types of items can come out of that.
Compost bins.
Yes, compost bins.
Very good.
Nice slide.
Through the chair, you wouldn't happen to know the line item for that particular fund?
What exactly
It's
they-
not? All right, because I never saw it, that's why. Okay, thank you.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
General fund, but we can give you a balance update.
If there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Consider a vote to award RFP for bus transportation.
I'd like to make a motion to table that into the next meeting when we can have the paperwork with the proper attorney signature on it.
Just to ask, this is the RFP, or do you mean the
Oh, I'm
contract?
sorry, I apologize.
So Tony, you're making a motion to table?
Do you retract that, or do you want to keep it?
Give me 1 second. I'll retract that.
In that case, I'll make a motion to approve the transportation RFP.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Consider a vote to approve bus transportation contract.
That's the one that I'd like to table to the next meeting.
Putting that in the form of a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to table?
Have we heard back from our attorney?
He has not reviewed the contract.
Can we have him here at the next meeting? Whenever, just saying, maybe he could give us some insight. Haven't seen him in a while.
Yes, I can try to make that happen, absolutely.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Consider a vote to approve EPHS Italy trip in April 2026.
I'm going to make a motion to approve because I believe that the deposit was due on June 6th. So let's go to Italy. No way. Let's go.
All right. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
Announcements?
I know Tony has an announcement, so we'll start there, and then if anybody else has an announcement, we'll go on to the next person. Thank you.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank Senate President Lawson, Senators Brito and Lauria, House Majority Whip Kazarian, Representative Dawson, Furtado, and Boylan for their leadership in passing critical legislation that changed the financial responsibility for students attending the Children's Residential Family Treatment Program at Bradley Hospital, otherwise known as CRAFT. For far too long, East Providence taxpayers have shouldered the cost of students from across the state attending this program, simply because it's located in our city. Over the past 3 years, that has cost our district over $2.5 million, including $600,000 in transportation costs alone. While we only received $1.4 million in state aid, leaving our local taxpayers to make up the difference. This legislation will now require that the student's home community cover the cost just as they would any other out-of-district placement. It's a fair and long overdue change that protects our resources while still ensures that these vulnerable children receive the care and education they need. Again, we're grateful to our local and state leaders who helped make this happen and stood up for East Providence students and taxpayers.
And add on to that, please, I would like to thank our superintendent and our mayor for speaking. I did go, I did not speak, but I did witness them speak, and they did an amazing job, and I think that also, you know,
Yes.
thank you.
Dr. Fran. And to Mayor De Silva for going out and speak. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend due to work, but obviously supportive of it. Any other announcements? Ryan, compost announcement? Nothing? Good, okay. TBD, thank you. Jess? Nope, I'm done. Good. Happy Fourth. I'll now entertain Tony Ferrer, did you have an announcement? Good, okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I was getting ready to second it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. If before you guys leave, if we could just like do a quick huddle up, get a suggestion.